morning. Welcome to our, I don't remember well, but I think in those 25 years we are acting on insurance and reinsurance market on the international level. We counted more than 300 conferences. I'm Sergiu, the president of XPRIMM Group and co-founder of the company, and my colleague Daniela GHETU, who is taking care of international relations, and especially with our successful conferences. Like it was yesterday. We are preparing for today another one, with very relevant speakers and so on. But Daniela could tell you more about this. Daniela?
Well, welcome everyone. We are happy to be once again together, like in a big family. If I'm counting the number of countries from the Central and Eastern Europe that are here today, represented by at least one participant, then we really are a rather large family, and happy to see you again. Motor insurance proved in the 25 years that Sergiu was mentioning a topic that you can never tire to speak about. There is something new all the time. The business itself is renewing every year or every couple of years. And today we will talk in the first part of the green card system, the system that allows us to maintain a close link and travel from one country to the other safely. And after that we will have also topics related to the way that insurers can manage inflation, which probably it's at this point the strongest challenge for everybody working in this area, and we will look to the improvements brought by technology. First and foremost, I need to stop a little to thank to our sponsors today. First of all, to our official partner, who is the Romanian Motor Insurance Bureau, and after that to RECREX and to Hellas Direct, who are also supporting this conference and are always together with us in our endeavors to bring information to you. Thank you all. And at this point, I would like to invite the representative of the Austrian insurance market. Maria, please.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to welcome you on behalf of the Austrian Insurance Association, and let me send you the best wishes of VVO President Mr. Rémy Vrignon and VVO Director General Mr. Christian Eltner. We are very happy that XPRIMM gave us the opportunity to welcome here to our beautiful city in Vienna, and a special thank is dedicated to XPRIMM for organizing this great today's conference and bringing so many distinguished speakers together. So we have the opportunity to discuss and exchange views on important topics. I hope you all arrived here comfortable and that the freezing temperatures in the morning in Vienna will not prevent you from enjoying this today's conference and your stay in Vienna. As you know, Vienna has a very long tradition, being a crossroad for the CESEE region and being a bridge between Eastern, Western, Southern and Northern Europe. So is also this hotel, actually, Bristol, always a place, a location where people meet and exchange also between different parts of Europe. Austrian insurance companies were one of the first players building sustainable bridges between the insurance markets of Eastern and Western Europe. So today and at the moment we are all facing challenging and extraordinary times, bearing in mind the difficult economic and social situation resulting from pandemic and of course resulting from the armed conflict close to our region. When it comes to motor insurance, price increases have a tremendous impact on our daily business. However, also against this background, we have to focus and concentrate on our core business. And that's why I'm ending in thanking XPRIMM again for choosing future as a primary topic for today's motor insurance conference. So, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the VVO, the Austrian Insurance Association, I wish you fruitful discussions and a successful conference today.
Thank you. So, and at this point, I am very pleased to introduce once again, probably very well known for you already from other conferences, Mr. Michael THEILMEIER, who will chair this conference today. I think he doesn't really need a presentation. He's a well-known professional in the insurance world. I'm always amazed of his experience and large knowledge on the insurance issues, and especially on the motor insurance issues. So it is his role today to lead the discussions and offer us a very informative environment. Thank you, Michael, please.
Should I invite? Yeah. Okay. Hello, everybody. Most people, hello again after a pause. So hopefully we don't have other pauses in the future, because the business goes on, and as mentioned, in some countries the prices have to go up a lot in order to make insurance profitable again. And I think this is an issue we don't touch that much here in the conference, but that's probably it. And it is international, and for that, without any long talk, I would like to invite Sandra SCHWARZ for a presentation for the COB, the green card system, and see what the challenges are there. Sandra?
Hi, good morning, everybody. Yes, it's a great pleasure for me to have the opportunity to be here to inform you about the, let's say, most interesting challenges we are facing currently in the COB system. You know, the system that allows, as you have already said, Daniela, the cross-border traffic and the cross-border victims protection. So, when I am talking about challenges, it does not mean that I am talking about problems. So yeah, here and there a challenge can be a problem where you need to find solutions, but from time to time a challenge is something which is only interesting and the solution is already somewhere in the background. So let's first of all look what is let's say one of the topics we continuously have to deal with during the last year. We all know it, there is a war in Ukraine, and this of course was also influencing what we are doing, our system. And you know, what we can say is, yeah, things are working very well. We have many Ukrainian citizens leaving the country by car. And you may remember last year we have said, okay, so out of a sudden there are so many of them, what can we do? Because not all of them have a green card, they need frontier insurance, etc. So all of these, let's say, hot problems have been in the meantime solved. And what's the current stage now? So first of all, Ukrainian colleagues in the Bureau are working, and it works, and the whole market is working still. Something which I, from time to time, find really hard to believe under the circumstances they have to work, but still they do it. And it's really functioning. They also developed during the last year more and more the database, for example, where you, as a green card bureau, what's my core business, for example, can find out where a vehicle from Ukraine is insured if there is an issued green card. And also the issuing of green cards, it's working online. And what is very interesting, because you also know that officially the green cards still need to be printed, and only printed green cards are accepted. We can say from time to time, you know, the practice is overruling what we are doing. So I haven't been informed about one single case where a Ukrainian driver had a problem by presenting the green card he or she received from Ukraine only in a PDF format, at a smartphone, not printed version. So what I want to say is, in the meantime, it is already accepted. Of course, you can wonder if also at the borders they accept it or not. I would say yes, even there it is accepted, even though, and that's very, very important, especially if you are working in an insurance company and now would like to inform your customers about it. No, please, still officially green cards need to be printed. And even though last autumn the UNECE already has taken a decision that this can be changed and that a green card in the future can be presented in any electronic means, it is not yet fixed. We will have a decision to be taken this year at our General Assembly. And unfortunately, and that's also what, you know, from time to time we need to take into consideration all the circumstances. Unfortunately, it does not mean that then 1 week later we all can issue the green cards only in PDF format or in what format ever. No, no. The problem is we have many members who need to change legislation. And this takes time, and in so far it will take some more time. So please don't expect your bureau to inform you in summertime that from now on you are already allowed to issue the green cards without printing any longer. So you are allowed, but your customer is not allowed to use them without print. That's a bit problematic from our point of view. Here we have a challenge. So what can we do in order to speed up this process, because we know the markets are waiting for it. It is out of time. Yeah, you always can say you can rely on paper, but we all know it's old-fashioned and nobody is any longer asking and suffering for the paper. Frontier insurance is working. Also, you know, a possibility for the Ukrainian people to insure the vehicles. Problem is that in Europe, at least, we have this legislation in place saying that after 1 year permanent stay of a vehicle in another country, then this car needs to be re-registered in the country where it is permanently used. This is more or less the legislation all over Europe, and all over Europe everyone is facing the same problem now. Politics did nothing during the last year. Most probably they hoped, okay, so let's wait and see, it will be solved somewhere. No, it's not solved. 1 year is already over. Still the vehicles are in the streets, still they need insurance, still they are registered in Ukraine, still frontier insurance can be issued. But if you then look at the national legislation, it could be that you can get some doubts whether this is still legal to issue a frontier insurance for a foreign vehicle that due to your national legislation no longer is allowed to be foreign. So that's a bit a problem. And we see that everywhere in Europe now, governments start to think about it, and then they just say, yeah, we prolong it 1 additional year or 2 months or whatever. So you see, they do not have, politicians do not have a solution, and it doesn't seem to me that on a European level they try to find a solution. But the problem is there, and somehow here and there it again starts to become doubtful whether what an insurance company is doing by issuing frontier insurance is still really absolutely 100% in line with the national legislation. This is something to, you know, to keep in mind, and let's wait and see what will happen in the future. And let's say something which from time to time can pop up. If there is an accident in your country, the victim says, yeah, it was a vehicle from Ukraine and this vehicle is not insured. Could be right or could be wrong. Okay, so we can check, is there a green card? No, there is no valid green card from Ukraine. We can also try to check, because everywhere there is something implemented in order to enable green card bureaus to check whether there is a national domestic frontier insurance policy. But what we can't check, unfortunately, is whether there is a foreign frontier insurance policy. For example, someone gets the frontier insurance in Poland, crosses the border, and here in Austria causes an accident. This vehicle is insured. But the problem is, if the driver is not telling the victim, here, I have an insurance and this is a Polish one, you have no chance to figure it out. So from time to time it could happen that the guarantee funds finally pay for accidents, even though they are insured. This is something which we can't for the moment avoid, or we don't know how to avoid it. Because insofar all the system that is built or was built for the frontier insurance policies is not so good and not so much linked to each other as it is for the normal registration plates, domestic registration plates and domestic cover. Another problem that is, I think, very well known to all of you is the question, how can we proceed payments to Russia or Belarus? You know it, there is a sanction regime in place, and you may have already been faced with a situation where you just would like to transfer money for a claimant, for a claim that you have to transfer as an insurance company to Russia or Belarus, and your bank is telling you no. Sorry. Due to our internal compliance, we are no longer transferring money. Okay, nice. What happens? The insurance companies start to contact the green card bureaus and tell the green card bureaus, hey, you know what? I just discovered I can't transfer my money to you. And then you, as a green card bureau, why don't you transfer the money then to the Russian or the Belarusian bureau? You have such good connections still in place. And we are always telling them, yes, nice idea, but you know the problem is we are no banking institutions, we are the green card bureaus. And please, go back, go to your bank, discuss it with them, because what is absolutely sure, compliance does not turn wrong into right, which means either you have a sanction, either the money transfer is a breach of sanction because it's the wrong bank or the wrong person, or not. And if not, if it's not a breach of the sanction, you are obliged to make your payments. You are the debtor. And this does not disappear because your bank, or also possible your own company, has a compliance in place that has a compliance in place that forbids you to make these payments. You can't, on your own, by your own set of rules, circumvent your obligations as a debtor. It's impossible. So this is not a legal behavior, again, legal, illegal. I have to admit, of course, it is time-consuming to discuss with your bank, yes, but unfortunately you have to do it. Otherwise, you are behaving a bit, let's say, not in line with the contract and not in line with your obligations. Compliance was also a problem or a challenge for us when it came to our this year's General Assembly. You know, the General Assembly of the COB always takes place in another country. So a member says, we are willing to invite you, and we are very happy to do it, and we are honored to do it. And this year we wanted to have our General Assembly in Denmark. And only a few weeks ago, we have been informed that due to the compliance of the Danish market, it is impossible for our colleagues to be the host of an event where also colleagues from Russia and or Belarus will appear. They offered online solutions, and we said yes, but the problem is if they only participate online, it's not equal to a participation in person when we all meet. And you know, the most important part are the coffee breaks, and you never can participate in coffee breaks if you are not present. So we had to take a decision. It was not easy to do it because everyone wanted to go to Denmark, of course. But anyhow, we said, yeah, but the member rights are the members' rights. And again, compliance can't overrule members' rights, which means we had to take the decision that we have to move our General Assembly from Denmark to Belgium. And that's what it is. So unfortunately, you see even here from time to time, you are influenced by politics, by compliance, and it is what it is. So you can't say, yeah, dear Danish colleagues, it's your fault. No, it's not their fault. If this is the house politic of the market, what can they do? It's normal that they say, yeah, sorry, we can't do it. And it's also absolutely normal and correct that we as associations say, yeah, but our members have rights and we have to keep the rights of our members. What will happen 1st of June this year? You know it. The agreements between the EEA, Switzerland and UK with Russia and Belarus will stop, which means they have been cancelled already last year, and then the date of effect was set by the COB. So after this date, there is no longer the possibility that someone arrives at the border and has a valid green card. So even if we have a green card where the date, the validity date is printed and it says 21st or 31st of December this year, it doesn't matter any longer. The green card is no longer valid, which means for customers, they have to conclude frontier insurance. Yeah? You see again, frontier insurance. We know that frontier insurance, that the Russian and Belarusian colleagues already introduced systems at the borders, so it is possible, if you would like to move there, to conclude this frontier insurance. Vice versa, of course, it's also possible for Russian and Belarusian vehicles to conclude a contract, frontier insurance contract at the borders. But what we don't know yet, and what we are not going to analyze deeper or further, because it's unfortunately also a question that is much more linked to domestic law than to, let's say, overall rules, is the question what exactly could happen if there is a customer, insured person, policyholder, who has asked for a green card, let's say 2 years ago. He received a green card with a validity for 3 years, and now he is at the border and has to conclude a frontier insurance contract and has to pay for it, of course. So what will happen with this guy? Most probably he will return to the company and tell the company, guys, you asked for an extra premium, I paid it, and now I have no longer cover. What is it? What is it about? I have a damage, I would like to have my money back or whatever. So it easily could happen that persons come to this idea and follow this path. And the question is really, okay, what does it exactly mean if you as an insurance company issued a green card 1 year ago? You had no clue that the agreements will end, so, you know, it was in good faith. And in the meantime, circumstances have changed. At least, I hope you managed all to inform your customers about the fact that there will be a change. Otherwise, it will be a bad surprise for them if they still rely on the validity of the green card. But this is a question where you really, I would say, have to analyze and go into the details of each and every insurance contract. What is included, what is excluded, was it an extra fee they had to pay, wasn't it an extra fee? So all these questions have to be clarified at a domestic level, but it is an open question for the moment. We are confronted with sanctions. Sanctions against Belarus. And the problem, the really biggest problem we have for the moment is COB is an association with a seat in Brussels, which means if it's a European sanction regime, we have to comply with these sanctions. We can't ignore them, even though we are not a European system. Yeah, and that's exactly where our problem is arising from, because you know there are already many sanction packages in the world, and most probably further will follow. But for the moment, when you look at Belarus, it is said that you are not allowed to have any relation with an entity that is controlled by directly or indirectly targeted entities or individuals. Which means we have the Belarusian Bureau. The Belarusian Bureau is not listed. It is not a listed entity. But the Belarusian Bureau has members, it has a board, it has, you know, relations, it is close to the government, etc. So what we have to do, and what we did in the past and still try to do, is to have a very clear picture about all these relations, the internal relations, which finally then will bring us in a situation to assess whether or not the Belarusian Bureau is one of these entities we are no longer allowed to have relations to or not. And the problem is that with each and every sanction list and each and every person that is on this list, the risk can change, because you always have to permanently analyze it. And that's why we have decided this year to ask, or to first of all inform the members, our members, about the risk we already see. And that's why we ask this year our General Assembly whether or not we should suspend the membership of Belarus, Russian Bureau, in our organization. It is not very pleasant that we have to do it, but we feel we have to do it. We can't ignore it, and that's why the members have to take a decision. The same applies for Russian Bureau. Of course, the Russian Bureau is also not directly under sanction because Russian Bureau is not listed, and for Russia we have different type of sanctions in place, and in so far we have to ask and to answer different type of questions. And here in relation to the Russian Bureau, the most problematic points are the prohibition to provide legal or IT services to a Russian entity. And the problem is, of course, what is a legal service? And here you can start to define, and you can find 100,000 definitions, because what our basic problem also in this relation is, no, none of these sanctions is meant for us. Which means all the sanctions, they are, you know, there is a catalog of sanctions, and nobody is taking care or thinking about us and what we are doing. I mean, we are not the only organization that has the problem, but that's always very problematic. They think about big entities, gas, oil, I don't know, business, business, business. We are doing victim protection, no business at all. So it's not meant for us, but we still have to apply with it, which makes it really problematic to find a very good, accurate solution, because that's also for sure, there is no right or wrong. It's not black and white. You, again, can always discuss. And the main question is only, is it still bearable for our organization to take the risk or not? And this question will be also asked our General Assembly this year, so also the question whether or not to suspend the Russian Bureau will be on our agenda. Iran is a third member where we also unfortunately have to talk about suspension for different reasons. So Iran is just the problem that the active membership or the activity as a member is no longer guaranteed for already a long time. And the question is whether or not this should lead to a situation where we have to suspend Iran, just based on the circumstances. We take a, let's say, Solomonic decision. We said, yes, we decide to suspend Iran, but only with effect from 1st January 24. And in the meantime, Iran has the chance to prove that things will be improved. So they some weeks ago sent a set of new legislation. We are carefully checking, and the idea is that if we would come to the conclusion, okay, so now we see that Iran is back on the spot and they can carry on their membership as they should do it, then we can withdraw the decision, and they still have some time. So you see, it's not a hard suspension, so from tomorrow on you are suspended, but it's a soft suspension, and we all hope that we can somehow save Iran as a member in our organization. We have also not only sanctions, surprise, surprise, also other topics to deal with. And you know, we have the insolvency bodies. The insolvency bodies in Europe, they more or less have already been in the one or other shape existed in the European countries. But with the new directive, they are mandatory to be founded in each and every country for internal and cross-border claims. And they need to conclude either an agreement or they need to go for delegated acts when it comes to questions of reimbursement. And what we thought, it's wiser to have an agreement, because if we make the agreement, then we also can make some changes if we should discover it does not working any longer. The problem is we need the signature of each and every insolvency fund. And unfortunately, there are a few who currently are not belonging to our organization in the shape of Green Card Bureau or Guarantee Fund or Compensation Body. So we have some externals, and the question is whether or not these externals have enough confidence in what we are doing and in our experience in order to sign. And there is another problem. It is the so-called retroactive effect. The problem is that, but it's not our agreement, it's already foreseen in the directive. You know, it says, the moment where an insolvency is declared, it's the moment where the insolvency body is responsible to make the payments. Okay, seems to be logical. But what if 2nd January 2024 an insolvency will be declared? It means, okay, there is a responsibility to take over the claims for the insolvency bodies, yes. But most probably because the insolvency was declared, this insurer did not make payments before, which means there is already a portfolio of claims, open claims. And what is with these open claims? The insolvency bodies haven't had a chance to finance these claims, to get some foundings here and there, to accumulate money, whatever. And, but still they have to take over. And this is a problem what some countries would like to avoid and would like to exclude. If you talk to the European Commission, it's a completely different picture. What they are going to tell us, oh, you know, due to our opinion, the moment it comes into effect, which means end of this year, this is the moment where all open claims from any insolvency have to be given to these funds. This is impossible from our point of view because it says the insolvency has to be declared only afterwards. But you see, the European Commission wanted to have a protection for all victims. So if you think about Euroins, for example, they have been declared insolvent some weeks ago. Due to the European Commission, if you know, it was wishful thinking, they would like us as insolvency bodies to take over all the claims starting end of this year. Of course, we are not going to do it because we say, yeah, no, sorry, but here, first of all, the insolvency must be declared after getting into force and not before. But this retroactive effect, some insolvency bodies fear, so to be responsible for a portfolio of claims is not it's unavoidable. We can't avoid it, and that's why we foresee some problems that everyone is going to sign the agreement, which on the other hand is a bit nonsense because even with the delegated act you will have to pay for these claims anyhow. So we will see what happens there, and I am still optimistic, rather optimistic, that we will convince the other bodies to sign, but we will see. And our colleague who is the chair of this working group today is not with us. He will join us online later on. But anyhow, so I think we have a very well experienced chair, and I really have a lot of confidence that finally we will succeed. Digitalization, I mean, that's the main topic of today, and also we in the COB are going to deal with digitalization. Step by step, really very slowly, but anyhow. So the problem is we have an extranet. We exchange in the green card section already some information via this extranet. The guarantee funds and compensation bodies, they will follow, but they are very reluctant to follow. It's exactly the same experience we had with the green card bureau some years ago. You see technical changes are not very popular because it means work and you have to implement something and the IT has to work on it and so on and so on. But what we all know is, first of all, if you don't start and if you don't have the chance to test, you never will get an improvement. And even, I would say, much more interesting, if you think further, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years into the future, what will be the situation? Most probably, data exchange via you know, a database, 24 hours online and in-time database. You will only need the registration plate, and then there is a direct link to a database, and the database will directly inform you yes or no, it's insured or not, and that's it. So when we still in all the COB members, when we don't, let's say, start now to develop further and to also look into the future, I'm afraid we will have a problem, because at a certain moment we are out and others will step in because others will provide these solutions. And it's much better from my point of view that we as COB can offer the solution together with our members, and one of the members is sitting here. So Mehmet, you are, you know, you have this project together with Azerbaijan, and it's exactly, you know, the first step. We have other progressive members in the system. They already start to implement system. They already start to give access to the authorities of other countries to database in order to have this type of exchange. So we also have to take care that in our system we do not have, you know, two-class society at a certain moment. Those who are the old-fashioned and those who are the progressive. And that's a bit the challenge, that we have to keep all of them on board under one roof, all of them going into the same direction. It is a bit problematic to achieve it, but I think we are on a good way. Even though it's a very, very slowly and reluctant and hesitating way here and there, but still we are on the way. We enjoy it, perhaps, who knows. Okay, communication is also, of course, one of the topics we always have to deal with. And it's really internal, external communication. Our chair is sitting here in front of me, Maria. We implemented a working group for this, and communication is the key for everything. I told you we have to make analysis about sanction and its impact. I told you that we, for example, have to convince some external insolvency or even internal insolvency bodies to sign agreements. All of it, it's linked to communication. If you don't communicate in a proper way, then you have no chance to succeed. So communication is really the key. Then the bank guarantee, sorry to mention it again, but if you followed up what we are doing during the last 1.5 years, unfortunately we have to make here and there use of a bank guarantee that is implemented in favor of the COB in order to make some payments that should have been done by a certain bureau that unfortunately did not. So we are going to the next round of bank guarantee, and it's foreseeable it's not the end, unfortunately. And then insolvencies, not in the sense of working group, but insolvencies in the sense of Euroins. So, Euroins is insolvent. And the good news is that we all in the system are not so much alarmed by this fact, because we know that BAAR, as the bureau that finally has to deal with it and to pay everything, is an absolutely reliable, stable partner, which means we all know, yes, even this insolvency will work. So that's really, let's say, if there is something good in this insolvency, then that we know everything is in order, will be in order, and we really can rely on it. But the fact as such, of course, it's again a bit more workload for everyone. The correspondents have to fill in lists and so on. So it's never good if there is an insolvency in a market, and it's never good if it's one of the biggest companies in a market. But still, that's what it is, and somehow you can say it's more or less normal business. I come to the end of my presentation. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Sandra. Of course, the floor is open for your questions, but in the beginning, well, Michael will give us a hand to open the discussion, and we will see from there.
When I was preparing, I thought, yeah, some problems, but it's a mess. And I was dealing with Green Card 1989, 1990, and believe me, when the wall came down and the Soviet Union fell apart, that was even a bigger upset on the system. But there were some old men who decided. And one thing was important. There was a term called contractual interference forbidden. And that was, the addressee of that was governments, bureaucracy. Stay out of it. We'll handle it. I don't know how it's going to be here. 3 comments. What you said, you have to talk to your bank. I worked for an American-owned company for a long time, and I tell you, won't work. Because the definition of what is allowed and not is not taken by a German insurer, but by their American parents, and it could be the same for a Swiss parent in banking or a British parent in banking. So I would say it's almost impossible to fulfill your contractual obligation of paying. Yeah, when I look at that system, the question is also, could we have, let's say, a reversal and say only there is like a core working group where everything works fine, and then have a periphery which has a similar attachment and try to keep as many in. But to be realistic, that many other countries may follow this stepping out for different reasons. What do you think? Is it possible to keep the system intact and just make single?
Yes, I hope so. Yes, it must be possible. There is this, whatever happens and under which circumstances, it doesn't matter because the system as such, I mean, not because it's an old system and not because it worked in the past, but it needs to work also in the future. Can you imagine if not? What will happen then? And I hope that at a certain moment we also, even though not now, because now it's not dramatic, you know, of course we were informing, for example, European Commission about the decision that the agreements are cancelled with Russia and Belarus. Yeah, you will do it. So, you know, never a reaction. But if you think further, really consequently, it should mean at a certain moment, if you really say, okay, it's no longer possible, let's guess it's not even possible to issue frontier insurance contract because there will be a stupid sanction saying it's not allowed to offer contracts to Russians.
Registered cars.
Whatever, yeah, not even cars, because this would mean they will take care about us. No, but in general, they will generally make something like the legal services. You can perfectly discuss if you issue a frontier insurance contract, is it already legal service? Because you have to inform the customer about the circumstances and details of the contract. Is this already providing legal service? If yes, it's no longer allowed to issue a frontier insurance contract for a driver of a Russian entity. So this is, okay, but if you explain this to the European Commission, what would be the consequence? They would have to close the borders, because otherwise we do no longer have a victim's protection, and this is not what they want. And if you talk to them, they tell us, yeah, no, that's not what we want. Of course, we would like the victims to be protected. That's very kind of you, but if you would like the victims to be protected, please allow us to make our job and please enable us to do it still under your current sanction regime. And there, because what is about the system, will it implode or not? Again, I don't hope so, and I don't think so, because we are a strong system, and we will also overcome this situation. Whereas it is not easy, but you mentioned it, we had already examples. We had the Yugoslavia war, we had the Iraq war. So it's not the first time that we are facing with a war, but it's, let's say, more or less the first time where we have this situation of an aggressive war and it's not, you know, it's not the Russian Bureau that started the war, and it's not the Belarusian Bureau that started the war. It's the state, the Russian state, that decided to start the war. So that's also something you should not forget about, which means usually we should be able to continue, but the basis will change, and it will be of course challenging also now to see what is really the exact and right way to continue with our system. But at a certain moment, I think politics can't have an interest that our system is no longer functioning due to what they are doing, because anyhow, they would like to protect their victims or potential victims, and that's exactly what we are doing, yes.
Yeah, so I think over time there has to be better exceptions, and I think here the European Union would do good to be more economic and less political in certain areas. For example, why green cards are still issued on paper. In the past, you had a genuine number on every green card. And one job I had in 1996, I went in Russia up the Finnish border through Karelia, and every border state there was a guy selling our green cards. And so we had to take the green cards not used and look if the dollars were there. So it was a system, and you can see how long it lasted until it would change with non-paper. Because today I think the number is genuine, but it's not printed on the green card. It's given in a different manner.
Yeah, and you know, it's really, I mean, the main argument was always, okay, so if you think about a smartphone, if you think about a computer, if you think about whatever, you always can be in the situation where you run out of charge or where you do not have internet connection. And then, a paper that you have with you, you always can present it everywhere. You do not need electricity, you do not need something else. So that's the main argument for the paper. But you have seen it, huh? It was last year in autumn. Usually it should have been 1 year before already that the UNECE, because we are depending on the recommendation of the UNECE, how a green card format has to look like, and the UNECE has taken the decision only last year in autumn, because the year before they postponed it because they had a dispute on something else and then they run out of time. Okay. Anyhow, so yeah, it's a long process, and it's also, and this is also a bit where I, you know, when I was talking about delegated acts or agreement, we always see we are more flexible. If it's only in our hands, if you have to ask third parties, you all know it, you have to wait for the answer, you have to wait for their input before you can continue, and this means you are wasting from time to time. It's a waste of time. From time to time it is important to have the feedback, but anyhow it takes time. So you are more flexible if you keep it in your hands, and that's what it is.
Yeah, by contract. It really helps. Insolvencies. We don't have that as a big topic here on the conference, but I'm really worried also from experience because of claims inflation. And so at the end, I'm sure we will have very, very many insolvencies in 2 to 3 years because the premiums will not grow fast enough. And it's 3 types of inflation. One is the normal inflation we have. The second is that the vehicles are changing. We will have that with the electric vehicles. And the third one is what the Americans call social inflation. And you can see on average, I think Michigan is the most expensive state. The average MTPL premium is $6,000 a year. Not 600, 6,000. And of the 6,000, $1,400 is needed for bodily injury, for severe bodily injury. That's those cases where the compensation is more than $1 million per person. Yeah, which is pennies here. Yeah? As a reinsurer, you take the excess of loss, excess of, let's say, 5 million, there's hardly anything left. There's 1 or 2 cases per year per country, which may be in there. So, yeah, these things will happen. Would you say, well, the Romanians will handle it, but economically, it has to be taken from future premiums, right? I mean, the money has to come from somewhere. So does it have to come from future premium? How do you see, let's say, you are protected, dear victim, but next year you paid $30, €30, €40, €50 more because there is a gap?
So I don't expect too many, at least now I'm really focusing on European economic area, because as we will have the new insolvency bodies implemented in all the member states, and as I already know that the financing of these bodies is a hot discussion everywhere, I expect the supervisory authorities to be much more accurate and much more active in some countries where so far they haven't. Because this time it means it will cost money of our market with all the consequences you have described, because yes, of course, it is more or less quite logical that the premium has to increase if your market has to face a big insolvency and someone has to pay. And of course, yeah, we know that there will be solutions in place where they accumulate money on an account, all these funds, but even this money needs to be paid by the insurance companies. And even this money then has, if there is a high inflation rate, then also it applies for this money as well. So it's always, of course, something where you can say, yeah, there is, let's say, interactivity, or there is a connection between premium and insolvencies. On the other hand, again, I expect at least the European supervisory authorities to be much more active in this field, because so far it did not cost their money. Now it's really, you know, we have fighted, and finally we got the home country principle for the insolvencies, which means whatever one supervisory authority is doing, it takes the responsibility for everything this company is doing in Europe, also FOS or FOE activity, and this is slightly different than it was. So there I hope that finally they will find a good balance, and that they will, of course, you know, it's always like this, so before you declare a company for insolvent, there are some other steps you can take in order to avoid it. From time to time you say, yeah, okay, so please stop your activity and others will take over or whatever. So different type and different steps of solution. Insolvency is only really the last step in a row of steps they have as an instrument in the supervisory authorities. And I really don't expect it to happen too often. I don't say it will never happen again, of course not. But how, let's say, the inflation and I don't expect the, let's say, point of change where you can say, okay, now it's so extremely expensive that more and more people start to drive uninsured. I don't know if we will see this development. I remember, do you remember the economic crisis with Greece some years ago, of course, who has forgotten about it? And then we read articles and analyses that more and more people will drive uninsured and that the rate of uninsured vehicles in Greece will dramatically increase, and it did not happen. So, you know, it is, I think, you never can get this direct connection, but whatever, if it should happen at a certain moment, yeah, then again, politics has to find solutions, because at a certain moment the market can't find the solution any longer. Then there need to be a political solution, and for sure they will find it.
And here, the political solution, you could see we had one country where the social inflation was a huge topic in Europe. That was Poland. In Poland, suddenly all bodily injury losses had to be financed. So and that's something which cost about one annual premium. But because the government was helping the insurers increase the premiums by 30%, it's like pay as you go. It's almost like our pension system. That's how future-oriented it could be. It was not as bad. And also, let's say the whole system, it took 6-7 years to fill the gap. Honestly, for most countries, I don't see this being done, because also it was very painful for the Polish, and some politicians have learned never again would I allow that. And I'm more afraid that we have some copies from US, even though we're different, yes, but in the US, the supervisors say, no, you're not allowed to increase the premium. In California, no, you're not allowed to increase it. But yeah, the figures show we have a loss ratio of 120%. You're not allowed to increase the premium. And what happens is people give back the license. And we had it another time when in Massachusetts, for 8 years, you couldn't get a private insurance. There were state entities making insurance. And they'd say, hey, I expect that in Europe as well. Hey, that's a good idea. That's a lot of jobs, well paid, for those organizations. So,
but you know, we have in Europe a better system than they have it in the United States, because as far as I'm informed, they do not have the system of guarantee funds. Not there are here and there. Yes, on a state level, they here and there have some guarantee funds, but not US wide. We have it, which means, you know, we have in Europe, and we have introduced a second type of system for victim protection, and this is already a game changer in my mind, because also the guarantee funds have to be financed by someone. So you see, whatever happens, you will have a sort of balance, and you have to take into account also the question of what will happen in case of uninsured driving, and also this has to be covered. So I really don't, sorry to say this, but I don't would compare Europe with the United States, and so far as they just start to make a copy-paste, I can hardly imagine, because if they would start to make this copy-paste, they know that still the costs are there, because there is a guarantee fund that has to cover, which means the costs still stay in the market. And so this is a bit different, in my opinion.
Yeah. Okay, it will depend. Certain things will depend also on how the lawyers will progress. I would have said no, it will not happen. We will not have a class action in Europe. We do. If we take Dieselgate, we see how many mouths are fed, and the compensation percentage is small compared to the cost percentage, like US. So there is a certain thing. Two more things, two more questions. One on Ukraine. Why wouldn't it be so difficult to re-register the car after 1 year? So if a Ukrainian is in Germany or in Austria, in Poland, why shouldn't he re-register the car after 1 year?
First of all, nobody can read the papers, because, you know, the papers are in Cyrillic, and it's nobody is able to, or not many people are able to read it. That's really the first problem. Second problem is that nobody knows, but I think they expect many cars not to be in line with the European conditions for a registration. We have European rules, and these vehicles most probably haven't been produced for the European market. And so there could be a divergence between what you have on your table, and then you need an extra expertise that perhaps then will confirm, yes, but it's similar, and then it's allowed, which means the process is so complex that I don't know where they should really do it. And another argument that is, at least in Germany, one of the main arguments for the moment, they say it's also a question of identity for these people. They, even though they stay now more or less 1 year in Germany, they would like to return. And if you tell them now you need to drive a German vehicle, then for them it's as if you also take away a part of what they are. So it seems to be strange, but to be honest, if you are a war refugee, you are in such an exceptional situation that I can believe that it is very important to have your identity, to still say, but I'm Ukrainian, I'm not German, I'm not Polish, I live here, but I will return. That's my home country. And this is also part of the discussions.
Yeah, I had it, used it myself, students. Yeah, where I had my car registered in a certain area of Germany, but I was also studying in Switzerland. So then I didn't have to re-register because I intended to go back. So the intention of going back allowed the period to be longer. So maybe we make that same with Ukrainians. But in general, it's, let's say, if you make political exceptions, the system gets less homogeneous.
Yeah, of course.
Because every country may then decide differently on that one.
But on the other hand, you know, it's really an exceptional situation, and it's a hopefully unique situation, so perhaps it's also appropriate to find a unique solution for this situation.
Okay, one last one, because you showed that the green card system is trying to do practical solutions. What if we look at other multinational solutions, like with passenger rights, etc.? What would be a good recommendation you would have for those institutions out of the long-term experience of the COB?
Yeah, or don't go so far. We have an orange card system, a blue card system, a white card system. So we have different type of these systems we have on the green card system all over the world. And when I look at them, my impression is always what we have as a big advantage is really not only a word, but really trust between the institutions. So we can rely on each other, and communication, as I said, communication is the key. But my impression is, again, if I talk to colleagues from the orange card system, I did it some weeks ago, the problem is really that they tell us, yeah, okay, so everything is fine, but when it comes to payments, nothing works. And this is, of course, a big problem. And but I think, yeah, why is it not working? Perhaps you don't rely on what your counterpart is telling you. And this is something where we, in the green card system, and then also additionally in the compensation body guarantee fund system, already have concluded many years ago. So pay first, argue later, which means you have to trust each other, and you have to rely on what others are doing is right. You can discuss here and there, but in general, you really have to trust in what others are doing. It's not that you have to mistrust. If you start to mistrust, and we see what happens, I mentioned the bank guarantee, this is part of mistrust, you can say, or perhaps also of unwillingness, I don't know, but anyhow, compliance. It is, no, compliance for sure not, but it's, no, but it's really the key. Talk to each other and try to find a common basis, and only if you know your colleagues, you know also that they are doing their jobs very well. Otherwise you can't know it. Of course you can't know. If you have never seen this person face to face, if you have never talked to them, if you have no experience with them, just receive invoices. How can you rely on it's okay what they are sending to you? So that's I would say the recommendation to all systems who would like to work cross-border international.
Okay, yeah, I think that's a good recommendation. And trust, I mean, you have to know each other, and I think that's the big advantage. The COB system has people who've done the job very often decades, and they know each other. I think this is, yeah, like
Yep.
So, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you both. Well, now we will rely on technology, which is one of the chosen topics for today, to try and have a long-distance connection with one of our next speakers. I'm happy and proud to say that the Romanian Insurance Bureau made a positive example in many ways within the functioning of the COB, but also lately, in the last years, they have made significant progress in developing a lot of digital tools to help both insurers and insureds to manage their issues with the motor insurance, with the green card insurance. So the system offers you a lot of possibilities. Everything becomes easier to be accomplished. And today we will have online with us Mr. Mihai NECRELESCU, who is risk manager for the Romanian Bureau. Unfortunately, he couldn't attend here, and we will try to have him with a Zoom connection. And here with us is Alin ENESCU, Director for Special Projects Department within the same Romanian Bureau, and he will, or they will explain us together what the Bureau made for the benefit of the market and of the clients as well. Thank you.
Hello. Hi, everyone. Sorry I couldn't be there, but I'll try together with Alin to make up for it. Alin, do you... I don't know, you can hear me?
Yes, Mihai, we hear you very well. You can share the presentation and get on.
Yeah. Okay, so thank you for the introduction. Now I will try to stream the presentation from my computer. Okay, do you see it? Sorry. Okay. So a little to start with some details about BAAR. BAAR is the Green Card Bureau in Romania, but it also handles, acts as a compensation body, guarantee fund, information center. It also handles the frontier insurance. Apart from these roles established by the green card system and the motor insurance directive system, we are also handling the high-risk insured, the MTPL national database, the electronic amicable statement that would be part of our presentation today, and the electronic claims history. I must say that these second rows that I've spoken about are provided by law. So we will touch this later on. I just want to say that in these developments, we benefited also from the help of the lawmakers in Romania. Just wanted to say that at this point, Alin, I cannot see. If you want to jump in anytime, you can do it.
It's fine, you can continue.
Okay. In regard to the national MTPL insurance database, as I've said, it's provided by law since 2017. We actually went online with it in 2018. The main purpose of this database was to collect and provide the bonus malus for each insured. Since then, we have developed some other components that come to the aid of the supervisory authority and also the clients, part of which this is the claims history statement, which is provided by law since 2017. And now we can see it's also an obligation that is required to be implemented by all member states in the newest motor insurance directive. The high-risk insurance, it's a system that somehow gives protection to insured people that need to pay large premiums for MTPL. And the Bureau's role in this case is just to gather data, analyze it, and then allocate the risks to the insurance undertakings. In order to speed up the process, we developed an app in order to make it easier for the clients to get this high risk insurance premiums. I wanted to say that until the city bankruptcy, we didn't have any case, and afterwards, after the city bankruptcy, the case is starting to flow to this high risk insurance. In regard to the electronic amicable statement, which will be part of our presentation in more detail later on this presentation. It's something that we've launched 6 months ago. It tries to offer an alternative to the classic on paper amicable statement. This is also something that we are not trying to replace, as Sandra, I've heard Sandra said that we shouldn't forget that also paper it's a good, reliable way of dealing with things, and it's not something that we should just forget about. But it comes with, of course, easier way to handle these things and to have advantages for the consumer. Also, in our digital landscape, it's mandatory, and not just for us, I think for everybody, to have an internal core business claims handling solution. And we are developing this. It's for a green card bureau and all these roles that we are having. It's really difficult to find a pre-built solution that can be customized for our needs. In this respect, the Green Card Bureau and this guarantee fund and so on, we have different needs and different situations to handle than a regular insurance company, let's say. Okay, coming to the electronic amicable statement. This is, as I said, something that we've launched in mid of October last year. It's provided by law. It's a solution, unique solution for the whole Romanian market. In this way, we can provide a common point for all the persons that need to fill this out to just use one application in relation to the insurance undertakings. Sorry. Of course, it's the process. It's fairly similar. We didn't try to, or we tried to somehow mimic the way it's filled on paper. In this way, people that are used to dealing with things on paper should feel at home on using the phone. So it's something that tries to offer an alternative and not to somehow disrupt the regular on-paper process. In a few words, the system works, as I said, pretty similar. After the accident, the people involved, if they have at least one of them installed the app on their phone, would try and fill this new electronic statement. It's pretty straightforward. We will have also a video presenting how it works. From our measurements and also from the feedback of the users, if the clients of the application have pre-filled their vehicle data on the app, the process will take 5 to 10 minutes. So big time savings here. This is the first major advantage. Also, it's everyone carries the phone. If we rely only on paper, sometimes it's after the accident, it's pretty hard to find a good print to fill it out. It also might be rainy outside, it might be dark outside, it's really difficult. So these advantages are straightforward. Using the app will make life easier, even in these bad situations like accidents. Another main feature of this is that both participants would receive this PDF format statement in their inbox, on their email, but also their insurance companies. And this is something that, coming from the feedback from the customers, made a really pleasant surprise for the consumer, because the insurance companies were proactive in handling these new claims that they receive by contacting the people in the first half an hour of the accident. So many people were surprised that they received a phone call from the insurance company asking if they need any help, instructing them what to do next, how to further present the claim in order to receive compensation as quickly as possible. Sorry. So yeah, this is one of the main benefits. Also, we are thinking about new features. We have some alerts installed on this app in order to be useful also when there is no accident in. It's not a problem like an accident. We are also thinking to introduce a feature for the buying and selling and signing the contract for selling a vehicle. And of course, there are also discussions about maybe the opportunity to further present the claim to the insurer with more details. This is something that, from the feedback of the clients, is desired by the consumer to have one-stop shop through this app to handle the claim from the start till the end. But we are cautious because we need to think about competition law, GDPR, and so on. So this would be a big step forward. The consumer, it shows us that it's needed, but we will develop it later on. These are some the basic steps that the app is somehow directing the customer. Maybe Alin here will provide more details. Just wanted to say that we can scan the documents in order to retrieve the data from the paper documents of the vehicle and the license of the persons involved and so on. It also, the application has an option to retrieve the exact location from where it's used, where the accident has taken place, and so on. Of course, if there's an on-screen signature, this also was a hot topic at the launch of the application, whether this signature is valid, will stand in court or not, and this is something that we have studied to make sure that it's as valid as a paper signature. And also maybe Alin will provide more details here. The PDF document that is produced by the application is digitally signed in order to provide some trust in what documents are exchanged.
Yeah, the application was primarily designed to offer an alternative for the paper form. It has to be easy to use. It has to have some additional functionalities in order to make the users to keep the application installed on their phone for many years. You know, the accidents on MTPL doesn't happen daily for everybody. You can have years without an accident. So this is the reason that we implemented, and we are thinking what features to be added to make the application more usable, not only for amicable statements. It's easy to use. You just scan the documents that you have, the driving license, the registration ID of the vehicle, your identity card, and you fill all the fields inside your application. It's a wizard-based application. You are navigating from screen to screen and just validate the information that was collected from the documents, and that's it. You just select the circumstances of the accident, one or more out of 26, and sign the documents, attach the pictures of the place of the accident, and validate the form. After that, it is automatically sent to the insurance companies, which, besides what the parties involved are seeing, they see the suggestion of the guilty part in the accident. We have a matrix of more than 1,000 combinations of circumstances, and predict which driver is liable in the accident. This feature is very appreciated by the insurance companies, because they can act fast to contact the parties to settle the cases. The generated PDF, which is the same format as the paper one, is digitally signed. It's generated only by our systems. It's highly secured and cannot be easily modified. So, Mihai?
I wanted to just to say that I skipped on the previous slide. Up to now, we have almost 90,000 users and more than 5,000 accidents already concluded through this app. And we are hoping to get more traction from the market in the coming months. The next slide is it's a video presentation of the app. It's on YouTube. It's only Romanian language. it only lasts 3 minutes, so we were thinking that this video will make a better job than me and Alin in explaining this this app. So let's watch it.
It's good that we don't have sound because it's in Romanian. I can translate it, but it's a lady girl voice behind the.
So it's a friendly voice.
Yeah.
To help your mindset towards a more optimistic approach to your own event.
And ignore also the fact that in the video the supposed guilty driver is the lady. It's we have another version with when the guy is it's guilty. It depends on the auditory.
Must have 4 versions.
Yeah.
Ladies,
2 men. One. 3. In the screens, in the video, you see exactly the screens that the participants are seeing on the application. It's a very easy process to fill. It works best when both of the participants are having the application and they are having the accounts created and the vehicle registered. The process of registering one vehicle can take few minutes, but in case of accident, you can finish it very fast. The fastest amicable statement that we saw in the application was filled in 3 minutes. In a regular process, we did some experiments. It can take 20 to 1 hour to fill the paper form.
This sounds quite impressive, and for the Romanian market, for sure, it was a big improvement. Well, I myself didn't have any accidents, so I cannot state on behalf of the efficiency of the app, but I'm sure that those who used it have already seen how much better they can manage the situation. Are there any questions for our speakers here?
May I ask one? You do a solution now for Romania. What you present, it could be used in any other country similarly, I would assume.
Absolutely.
Would it be not better to have a European harmonization, maybe getting certain organizations, so in every country we have something like that? Or would you say a competition of systems later on, then maybe harmonizing would be better?
I don't know what to say about the competition, but to be used in the European level, there are some legislation changes that need to be done. In order to accommodate the transition from paper form to digital form, the MTPL norm was amended, and it is stated who is the authority under which the application and the system is working, what are the security elements, or how the on-screen signature is accepted. So there are some challenges in this area, but can be passed easily.
I might try and answer here. I think that this app can be used by anyone in any state, but we don't know for sure if the law of that state will accept it as
valid.
So this is why we encouraged the Romanians and the users to use it only on Romanian grounds in order to avoid discussions afterwards if it's valid or not on other jurisdictions. But of course, if the other legislators will adopt such a electronic form of this statement, I'm sure it will work just fine, because the actual PDF when you print it out or you just use it on the screen of your phone, it's just like a paper form of this document. So it's, I think it should be valid, but we were afraid that in some jurisdictions, sorry, it might be contested in some way.
Yeah. The application as was presented, it doesn't represent only the mobile application. We have an entire system which helps coordinating ensuring that the PDFs and the pictures of the accidents are protected, and participants will have access to the documents even if after they are uninstalling the application. So there is a system which contains at least 5 other entities. We have another application that we want to present in a few words. Is AIDA Cont Client. It's the application which will facilitate the self-issuing of the loss report history, which is regulated by the Article 16 of the Motor Insurance Directive. You can use the loss history certificate when you're issuing a policy for a certain vehicle in a foreign country. The same is a mobile application available for iOS and Android. Compared to Amiabila, due to the fact that in this situation you can access a lot of personal details about the vehicle and about the owner of the vehicle. It is quite secured. After you are making an account, you are entering in a process of a validation. The validation of the identity is partially done using AI and partially done by human. The entire process of validation can happen automatically, but for a period of hopefully not more than half month from now, we are still monitoring what the algorithms predicts. Also, this application comes with optical character recognition to extract rapidly the information from the documents. It has also other features like receiving notification in the application when on one policy that you own a claim was registered. You can easily check the current bonus-malus class, and of course you can talk with a chatbot. You can ask questions about MTPL legislation in Romania. You can ask questions about the bonus-malus system and many more. Few screens of the application. You have a rich screen, a rich menu in the left. In the middle, you can see the bonus-malus class. In the number 4 screen, you can see the history of certificates that you self-issue. And in the last screen, it's the chatbot, which answers all type of questions regarding MTPL insurance. The PDF, the generated PDF is digitally signed. It is having some security elements. Also, there is also a web application which allows for everybody who is entering in the possession of this document to validate the document authenticity. So, also this process was a manual one, very complex. The challenge was to validate the identity of the people which are requesting this document. Initially it was only on a paper form. When the pandemic came, we had to make a process, an online validation via WhatsApp or Facebook Messenger or other tools. And then we saw that this application will facilitate this process. If you have,
I would like to add something, Alin, here. Since 2017, I think the Romanian legislator provided this tool, and BAAR somehow developed it in a one-stop shop for such information, because in the past the clients would have to go to each MTPL insurer in their past to get this history of claims. And this is something that we have succeeded doing in more than 5 years ago, providing a one-stop shop for collecting all the claims history and providing this certificate. And it's nice to see that also this kind of tool now is provided in the most recent motor insurance directive. So somehow we felt that we were together with the Romanian legislator a little bit ahead of times. Alin, here, if you can explain this.
This is just the interface used by our operators, which are validating the identity of the account holders. Also, this application is a part of a system. It's not only the mobile app, it's the backend, it's the database, it's the entire connectivity with the central MTPL policy administration, which is heavily secured and monitorized. In next months, we are thinking to implement some connections between the mobile applications that we are using. So if you have one account in Amiabila, and there will not be needed to register again in AIDA Client, so it will be some interconnectivity between the applications, so you can use the same account everywhere in all the relations that you have with BAAR's applications. This was our presentation. If you have any questions for me,
thank you very much. I'm sure that unfortunately we are a little bit behind schedule, so. Of course, if there is a question, I will allow it. If not, maybe later, because we will further discuss on technology applications and the benefits, so you can speak further. Thank you very much. It is a well-known fact that in the Central and Eastern market, insurance markets, motor insurers have a very significant role to play. There are many markets where maybe these lines of business are accounting for about half of the entire insurance business, which means, in turn, that what happens in the motor insurance lines, all the difficulties or the challenges or the problems that arise there have a visible impact on the entire market, so it is very important. And today we have the opportunity to hear from a representative of the Turkish market, a very complex one. I think it's very relevant in this respect of the strong impact of the motor insurance on the entire market, and he will explain us how things are going, what kind of consequences are arising from different measures taken at market level, and they can be a really good example for everyone. So I'm kindly invite to the microphone Mr. Mehmet Akif EROİTLU. He is chairman of the Insurance and Pensions Regulation and Supervision Authority in Turkey. Formerly, if I recall well, you were also on the other side of the barricade, representing the insurers for many years. Yeah. So
Sandra knows very well me.
You can very well not only understand but also explain both the interaction from the both sides. Yeah. Please.
Thank you very much, Daniela. First of all, I want to thank you for having me to address you. As you said, I was former Bureau country manager before this current job, and we cooperate and work together with Sandra, which was very good to cooperate with her. And one of also my colleagues is here, Mr. Reshaping. He is from Azeri Motor Bureau. We developed a lot of common projects actually, and especially one of them was related to the technology vision, right? So I'm sure that my successor will do that. But fortunately or unfortunately, I don't know. There are some colleagues here, maybe they decide. I appointed Turkish Insurance Authority to the top. So it's very tough market, and it's very difficult to manage this market really. And if I tell that I am looking for my motor bureau days, that I will not tell lie. This is a really difficult job because our market is really difficult because we have a very tough problem called MTPL. And we are losing money in the MTPL line of business. That's really tiring the authority. And for all stakeholders. So today, with this opportunity, I'm sure you have somehow connectivity with our market, with the Türkiye insurance market. So I thought that's a good opportunity to share our action plan in terms of solving the MTPL problem in Türkiye market. So today, first of all, I want to give a little bit brief information about our market, and then I will talk about the MTPL problem and about our action plan actually. So when we start with the figures, right now in Türkiye market we are having 70 companies operating in Türkiye insurance industry. 45 of them is related non-life, 21 related with life and pension, and 4 reinsurance companies operating in Turkey. And right now there are a couple of companies which wants to a new license. At the end of 2022, we have total assets almost 40 billion euro. Compared to last year, we developed 40% progress. And in terms of premium, we produce almost 12 billion euro premium. And in terms of the euro basis, it's like 70% progress developed. As you see, it's a real growth, and it's a very big growth compared to last year, and mainly because of last year the inflation rate was very high, but also before that there was a pandemic term, and during this term, casco, motor vehicles, MTPL, and health premium was very low because there was no damage, as you can imagine. After the pandemic season, the price increased very much, and with the effect of the inflation rate, we are having a very high level development in terms of premium in the market. And in Turkey, we have auto enrollment system in terms of saving. Right now, we have 15 million people in the market, and size of pension funds reached almost 22 billion euro. As I said, we have very high level development compared to last year, but as a Turkiye insurance sector, we are having real growth rate last decade. Every year we grow over the inflation rate, which is very satisfying. I must tell that as a Turkish market, we are having penetration rate problem. We don't have a growth rate problem. Our penetration rate, unfortunately, is very low. When we look at the allocation of the premium in terms of distribution channel, our non-life industry is driving by mainly private agency, which is 62% around. And banks and brokers almost same, like around 14%, and 7% is coming from central production. When we look at the life side, it's mainly driving by the banking system. Mostly the products is credit unit products, so therefore the bank's percentage is really high level, which is 75%. And last year we paid almost 5 billion euro loss. In our industry, more than 200,000 employments, and we have 17,000 agents, 5,000 loss adjusters, almost 200 brokers, and in our market, foreign capital share approximately 60%. And there are lots of big players in our market, internationally famous players in our market operating. Yes, and now I want to talk about the topic of our presentation. As I said, MTPL is a really hot topic for us, but our market is driven by mainly motor branch. You see from the slides, 30% is coming from MTPL production and 22% coming from motor vehicle. So half of the premium is coming from the motor branch. So motor branch is really important and dominate the market in every kind. And mainly our motor branch is producing by private agents. 70% and 80% is coming from private agents. Yes, the problem is this slide. You can see at the end of 2022, our market technical results made 300 million euro profit. However, in MTPL branch, we lost 563 million euro. You can see other yellow color land vehicles. It resulted with 354 million euro profit, but before the year before the 2002, also motor vehicle line of business lost money because the premium was very low. But as I said, in 2023, after the pandemic, because of the land vehicles line of business made loss, they increased the premium and they turned positive. However, MTPL still losing money, and it's almost €500 million. Because of that, our loss ratio realized in 2022 as 142%. But as an industry, we are transferring some of our premiums to social security system to the other some funds. Excluding this premium, our loss ratio is coming 160%, which is very bad. It's not sustainable. That's why we are losing money. That's why, as an authority director, I'm not satisfied, and I'm very tiring, and with all our stakeholders. So we have to figure out this problem in order to make sustainability for our market. That's the problem for us. And you can see this problem is not occurred to new one. This is coming like last 10 years. The problem, when you lose money, I mean, this is a liability line of business, so it's very normal to lose money, but when you lose the money, I mean, this liability or this MTPL line of business is supporting by other line of business, as you all know that, and also they are it's supported by financial incomes. However, in some years, even the other line of business and financial income cannot eliminate all these MTPL losses. Therefore, in 2012, in 2015, and the last year, also the total balance sheet turned negative. That's the problem. You cannot eliminate, even with the other line of business profits, even with the support of financial income. That's the problem. That's why, as an authority, we are focusing on to figure out this line of business problem in order to create a sustainable market. So when we look at the reasons of losses, apparently the main reason is the traffic accidents. But our traffic accidents now figures is very high level compared to the European average. And second problem is coming from issues on the court stage. And we have a tariff system, problem because of the, we have a cap in the tariff system. And there are also some regulation effect on those losses. So as an authority, we created an action plan to figure out in every spot, in every pillar, we create some roadmap. And so we created a plan that reducing traffic accidents, and we created a plan for the tariff system, and an action for the regulation side, and action with the court and insurance arbitration system. But especially today, it's related with the motor branch. Therefore, I want to give some information about especially MTPL side. So when we look at these figures, this shows that the number of deaths on the roads in terms of traffic injury per 100,000 population. In Türkiye, right now, in 100,000, 6.3% died. Compared to the European average, which is the blue one, is 4%, almost 50% more. But these figures was doubled before 8 years ago, so it's coming, it's going well actually. And you can see from a number of vehicles in terms of claim frequency. You see the top line, it shows that the frequency, it was 6% in 2015, right now 4%. Still a high level compared to Europe because it is it's almost 50% more compared to Europe. However, when we look at the last 10 years, it's going down, so which is good result actually, good news. So we can tell that the frequency rate decreased 26%, claim frequency decreased 28%, and number of deaths decreased 34%. All these figures very good. And also, I have to tell that our highway quality is increased in 20 years. Everywhere in Turkey has the, I mean, the two ways. So with the highway and with the restricted ways. So right now, the infrastructure is really good, have a very solid quality. However, when we look at the reason of the traffic accidents, mainly 90% of these reasons coming from the drivers' faults. So we have to affect drivers' behaviors in order to decrease traffic accidents. Because infrastructure is not a problem anymore. That's the important one. Therefore, we created a plan that affected drivers' behavior, which with the bonus-malus system. So we revised the bonus-malus system. Right now, we are giving more premium and burden on the bad drivers and less premium on the good drivers. Even we have a cap, our system, inside the cap system, like a free tariff system. If you make more traffic accident, then you get more punishment with the premium, as well it's like economic punishment. So I think it will affect the drivers' behavior in the midterm. However, right now we have a system that the system driving by registered vehicles. I mean, when you make an accident, these accident figures goes to the registered, the person that registered of the vehicle. So if somebody drives the car, a different person, it doesn't register on him, but the accident figures goes to the registered person. So that's the main problem for our market, because I mean, if you are not the owner of the vehicle, even you make like 10-time accident in a year, on your report there is no any figures, there is no any record. That's the problem. That's why we decide to accept a new system, which is based on the driver-based system. And also we are sharing the drivers' penalty scores with the insurance company. We are cooperating with the highway authority to reduce the black holes on traffic. As I said, we are the industry using the penalty points of drivers. We are sharing this information with them. And also we are supporting telematics and smart security system, which is I think related with this panel. So we should do much more encourage using this technology on the vehicles actually. We have to get some assistance from this technology. And so after driver-based insurance system, we want to accept direct settlement. After that, with the direct settlement, we want to segmentize the traffic MTPL policies. And then, after all these actions, as authority, we want to go to the free tariff, I mean to eliminate the cap in the market. Other than this, also one of the important actually steps is we decide to share insurance and claim history certificate, especially for the commercial side. Right now, because the system based on registered vehicles insurers, as a driver, your accidents doesn't count. This is a huge problem, especially commercial side. Let's think about a big bus transporting 50 people, and nobody knows this driver is good driver or not, bad driver, because the system shows owner of the bus. With the driver-based system, we will show this actual driver report. And maybe the company who want to employ some driver, for example, let's say for the bus, will see is driver bad driver or good driver, because we are giving 50 people to this guy. So it's very important. On the other hand, with this system, we control all these drivers. I think in the midterm, this will affect, because the drivers have a bad history, they cannot find job. So that system will push them to use more careful. Also, it's a social, actually, situation. We want to lose less people in the accidents. Also, we are supporting electric vehicles. Yesterday, we issued a regulation. We are giving 10% discount using the electrical vehicles. And we are giving 20% discount for the, if the company or the people prefer to use equivalent parts. Yes, that's our roadmap for the MTPL. And I just give some figures about our motor branch. And also, because it's right now on the agenda, it's not really our panel, but maybe if you wonder, I just want to give some information about the earthquake results in the market, because that's a real, actually, an example for maybe all for insurance. As all you know that, we had a very big earthquake 2 months ago. Our number of policies like 50 million on that area. It affects 10 cities. And as a market, our total coverage was 79 billion euro. And our retention, 39 billion. And we are expecting total loss almost 4 million euro. But we have a balancing provision. We are ceded our loss to reinsurance, 3.5 euro. So we have a balancing provision. So after all that, total our retention share like 150 million euros. So with the balancing provision, we all eliminate these claims. So even in such a big earthquake, such a big catastrophic event, our market has strong capability to pay this with the assistance of the reinsurance system. Therefore, our insurance company doesn't affect it in terms of balance sheet, or in terms of equity, or in terms of profitability. So that's good news. And I can understand in this kind of circumstances how the insurance system is important because of the reinsurance system. In such a big catastrophic events, our market skipped this catastrophe without any lost money. So thank you for the reinsurance system. Thank you for the insurance system, actually. And I don't advise, I don't hope to any country this kind of catastrophic events. God protects us, all of us. If you have any question, feel free to ask, please. My presentation is finished. Thank you so much for listening to me.
Thank you also. Just Michael here has already some questions, but before that, because we were speaking today about motor insurance, I assume that in this earthquake, besides life loss and houses, etc., there were also significant losses on the motor branch.
Yeah.
Lots of.
Because of new MTPL doesn't cover earthquake, but motor vehicles, yeah, we have 70% penetration rate in that area. There was 3 million car vehicle, and 70% was insured. And we paid like 2 billion Turkish lira 1.5 billion Turkish lira, but how much? Almost, I think, 75 million euro payment we already made for the motor vehicles. But unfortunately, the penetration is very low on that area, 17%, which is the Turkish average 25%.
I was asking because usually when we are talking about NatCat, everybody thinks directly about houses, industrial implements, etc., etc. But in the end, the motor lines are also suffering also from weather events, also from earthquakes, from all these things. And often we are forgetting about it and not discussing.
Exactly.
Michael?
Yeah, two questions if I got it right. You said the cap will be abolished. So there will be...
I will. That our target.
Okay, it's not yet this.
Not yet.
Okay.
After this roadmap implemented and get some positive results,
okay,
our target to pass to the free tariff in a very midterm.
What happens if you're not successful, let's say, or not enough successful?
No, we will be successful.
Okay.
There is no option.
And the second question, you said you're going to a driver system. So policyholders will be the individual drivers?
Exactly.
So no longer the cars?
Yeah, their name will be on the license, and the insurance
on the car,
on the license, on the policy, and the insurance companies will make authorization, and they will decide who are these drivers, and they will make some price management. I think they will give some discount for them. But if somebody choose the all name on the list, it will be more expensive. That's
okay. So the car stays the object of insurance, not the driver is not the subject of insurance in the sense.
After the new system, driver system, the drivers will be the subject of the insurance policy.
So I can drive any car. I have my policy, and I can drive any car.
The drivers will be related with the cars. You have a car. You have a car. You said that. Okay, this is my car.
It's double then.
This is my car, and this car will be used by me, by my wife, my son, etc. Or somebody says, okay, this is my car. Everybody can use this car. Then the price will change, and then we can follow the driver's history. That's the point. And then that's why I want the drivers to behave more careful, because right now, however I use, I don't affect. Only the owner of the car will affect from the accidents. That's the difference. That's why we want to affect the behavior of the drivers. If you don't affect the behavior of the drivers, you cannot decrease the traffic accidents. Nobody cares. How much they, for example, let's think about a driver, a bus driver. How many times he made accident doesn't matter, because the owner is different. And then they can, if somebody fire him, he can find easily in another company. But if we share the list, their driver history, and if the company see, okay, it's a bad driver, he cannot find a job. Then everybody will try to, everybody will be more careful. Okay. That's why I believe that the system will be successful.
So your main attack point is frequency, not severity.
I mean, this affects everything.
Yeah, but the frequencies are...
Exactly, much more. I mean, when we look at severity is much more related with the tariff and the court system. Also, we have some other action plan with the side, because we want to decrease that amount also as well.
Do you have a problem of social inflation?
Social inflation?
Meaning that that the losses, bodily injury losses go up in general, that let's say for the same pain and suffering or the same injury, the compensation increases more than inflation, for example?
Right now we have, because of the regulation side, but also we have some plans to decrease this kind of unclarity.
Okay.
Yeah, we want to make that clear.
So better rules for that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
Other questions here?
What was the reaction of the drivers?
After I explained this roadmap, I am very surprised, because all the public opinion support authority. I think everybody was waiting somebody to do that. Because everybody was waiting that the difference between the bad drivers and good drivers, and we have a lot of positive effect from the public opinion in everywhere. Yes. Because I mean, only 2% of we have 20 million policy in the system, The bad most pillar was the first grade, because we have seven pillar in the traffic system. Their number just total 100,000 something. 100,000 compared to the 20 million. Therefore, everybody was happy.
Are there any other questions? I remember, do you have a price segmentation in MTPL depending on the driver's age?
One of the factors, I think Suhabe is here is a technician guy. He is deciding this. So I think one of the parameters is the age of the driver, right? We have a cap, but the company, when they are doing the authorization, they take a lot of parameters. One of the parameters is this.
Because this is very challenging for the young drivers in economic terms, as they are challenging for the rest of the world in accident terms. Okay, any other questions? Well, if there are not any other questions, well, I trust that Mehmet will be here together with us also later on. So, if you want to discuss, you can take advantage of the pleasant moment of the coffee break, which is waiting for you outside with coffee, with tea, with some sweets, I think. So enjoy, and we are waiting for you back at about 12 o'clock.
Thank you very much.